And everyone please keep memes in anon, and stop saying the N-word. I will ban if you guys keep doing this.
I know this is a crazy start to the video, but let me explain because this is the first message in the announcements channel in the Retro Dev Discord server. For the past 6 years, the Retro Dev team on Roblox have been working incredibly hard to bring old Roblox to the platform to garner tens of millions of unique people to see and play content of that was normal back in the early 2010s to the modern days. RetroBlox was originally the start to this because the RetroBlox community was relatively small in the Retro Studios because it had not much attention from YouTubers and didn't have incredible features that Retro Studio had. But Retro Studio did come out approximately a year after RetroBlox was made. But let's think about this. Who owns RetroDev? Because they went out to make Retro Studio, the game we all know of. In today's video, we will be interviewing the owners of RetroDev, or what many of you guys know and clicked on this video for, the owners of Retro Studio. Well, hello there. I first want to say that, yeah, I'm interviewing Cristiano the A-Ray, but many of you wonder, what about Guess It's Just Best? Well, I DM'd him, and I don't think he reads the DMs or responds to anybody, so I'm undelivered. But hey, at least I have him added. If he's ever down to talk to you guys, I can make it part 2 and even include the event team winners such as Lodakun and the now-retired Hip-Hop Betty if I have permission. Anyways, we'll be starting off with Cristiano 100, the lead developer of Retro Studio. Cristiano 100.
Yes.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm just chilling. What was the last thing that bothered you?
I'd have to say taking my time out of my day to deal with people who just want to ruin the experience for others, or specifically the admin team.
Yeah.
I'd say one specific example recently was we just had an issue with people mass uploading games, so taking 2 hours out of their day and duplicating one rule-breaking place 2,000 times.
That I connect that to like hackers and experts and stuff, because recently, like a few years back, I did interview this one guy which was most notorious for like creating bypass games and bypassing slurs and stuff, botting games and all of that. So yeah, I'm surprised that usually still happens and stuff.
It's always happening, and it takes time out of my day to go and fix it, but
Yeah.
luckily now we have lots of systems in place to stop these kinds of games and instantly remove them all.
Yeah. Do you enjoy being a developer for Retro Studio?
I do, I enjoy it very much. I like the community, I like making games, obviously. And
Yeah.
overall, it's just a really fun game to develop because I get to conquer a lot of challenges, a lot of really unique challenges.
Yeah. What were some of the hardest things that you ever worked on when you were making Retro Studio?
I don't think we can nail one solid thing. Most of Retro Studio itself was a huge challenge. Every
Yeah.
every little system you see in that game is basically pushing the limits of Roblox. You're only able to refresh the games page 3 times because that's the absolute limit of data store requests.
Yeah. That probably seems like it takes like a lot of time to like update the game. So I understand how like the whole event team and admin team, developer team and all that usually goes under like a lot of stress whenever there's gonna be like a huge update, for example, like the egg hunt and all of that, which I'm actually really excited for. And I hope that actually turns out well, which will be another question that I ask. But when Flamingo first made his video back in 2021 on Retro Studio, how did it feel controlling the huge fan base that Flamingo has, knowing that he has like over 10 million subs? How did it feel controlling that fan base that came with his video?
It wasn't so much as there was anything to control, but it was more so the feeling of having our work culminate to the moment of where we felt like this was success. Because
Yeah,
we came from essentially just the player base of RetroBlox
yeah,
to now hundreds of people on the game.
yeah. And I was looking back at like 2020, seeing like when Retro Studio was going like into its first public testings, how much players were active on Retro Studio before Flamingo joined? Do you know?
When we did our playtests, we'd get up to about 20 people.
That's crazy. And now Retro Studio usually peaks at around 1,500 players, like specifically during events and like all that stuff. I find that's insane. Um,
Yeah, it really is insane to think about how far we've come.
yeah, definitely. What was the first game you made on Roblox, and why did it make you decide to keep going after that game you made?
Well, I think there's a couple of answers to this question because the actual first game I would have made would have been a personal server when I was really young because I started out on Roblox when I was about like 6 or 7 years old. So at the time, it would have been like a one of those build a city personal servers, which are really popular at the time. But
Yeah,
I think a more appropriate answer would be around 2018, 2019. I started making SCP Foundation games. I couldn't tell you how I got into that, but I just remember making them and I really enjoyed the whole process. And actually, from there, I met Wubby301 and I started working on the original Minecraft clone on Roblox with him, which is where I
yeah,
met Kyle, known as XLXI, or at the time he went by Ms. K. And he's actually the reason that I started working with RetroDev. I joined the
yeah.
team at Roblox shortly thereafter.
Who's on the team before you joined?
On the team before I joined,
Yeah.
well, it would have been guest, A-Ray, Strange Eggs, and Keyboard Combination.
Mm. What was your favorite event that you've ever played on during Retro Studio, and why?
I think I'd say Egg Hunt 2023. I think around the Eggverse had a really great map. I loved all the different worlds, and the story was really great.
Yeah, that was actually the egg hunt that I think first ever played. I do remember playing it from 2022. I have some of the eggs from that. 2023 is when I of course like came to YouTube and like started upload content. So that was the first egg hunt I ever got to play on live and stuff. And now this egg hunt coming out later, 2026. Like I feel like that again in 3 years just coming back to Retro Studios live streaming the egg hunts, and I hope it's just like gives like the same great experience that I had from 3 years ago. Um,
Hmm.
I want to give like I want to ask like because I know there's a lot of people that do make games on Retro Studio are probably gonna watch this. If you could give a piece of advice for Retro Studio game makers, what would you say?
Well, I'd basically say keep it simple, keep it short. You know, it's really easy to go in with this grand idea, this grand vision, and ultimately not be able to succeed, whether it's because you don't have the necessary skills or you lose motivation because it's a really big project. So choose something within your skill set. Choose something within a time frame. That's a really important one because a lot of people get burnt out really quick, especially because they'll start a project that will probably ultimately take 4 months to complete, but they're not going to work on it for 4 months. You know, just keep it short and sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like that's yeah, I can relate to that. Um 2021 I was making some of my first ever games and I don't usually look back at them, but I use a whole bunch of free models and I actually have a game from the David Blocks time set. Why did you guys remove the David Blocks time set?
You know, it just didn't fit with the game. And it also had a lot of bugs
Yeah.
because it ran completely different systems. There was a lot of exploits involved, and we thought it was better to just get rid of it. It doesn't fit the game. It was more of an Easter egg more than anything.
Yeah. Was there any scrap features or content from Retro Studio that was almost added to the game?
You know what? We've had a lot of scrap features, as you could imagine, on a game like this. I'd say most notably, I had the groundwork laid for text-based scripting, but we weren't able to find a good solution to filter the scripts themselves as is required by Roblox, so it just had to get scrapped.
Yeah. And that's why like block coding is like the primary source of scripting, right?
That's correct. We had to settle on block coding.
Yeah. What was your favorite year playing, moderating, or working on Retro Studio and why?
You know what? My favorite year working on Retro Studio is definitely the first year of Retro Studio. It
Yeah.
was a really tight-knit community, and I was able to implement a lot of the huge systems that we have today. And I don't get to do that much anymore because the systems are already in place. The
Yeah.
only thing that's left is micro-optimizing them.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Um, what were your biggest accomplishments during the development of Retro Studio?
You know, I don't think we can pinpoint one thing and call it the single biggest accomplishment. I think Retro Studio itself is really the culmination of uh, all of these huge accomplishments. You look at the avatar system, you look at the game system, you look at game saving. All of these are huge challenges that we overcame and came to be Retro Studio as it is.
Yeah. In the game description, there is like a part that's like nominated for excellence of Builderman, whatever, in 2022, and I've seen that for like the longest time. And I want to ask, how did it feel when you and the Retro Dev team were nominated for the Builderman Award of Excellence back then at 2022?
You know what? That was a really, really good feeling. For this small game that we had made for fun just 2 years prior, be noticed and recognized by the CEO of Roblox.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we were actually offered VIP seating at the conference that year, but neither of me or A Ray were able to go out that year.
What was that?
It was just too short notice for me. I didn't have a passport.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Um. By the time this video is being filmed right now, the egg client has not came out yet, and there's a lot of expectations. There's a lot of high sets for it, as Myth Stars usually post trailers about it. Lodakun advertises it in the announcements channel on the Retro Dev General. Are you excited for EggCon 2026?
You know what? I am excited. Lodakun is building a lot of tension towards it. And, you know, the team is taking their time because ultimately they really want the best possible product to get out. So
Yeah.
I am very excited for it.
Do you know an estimate of how long they've been working on the game for?
They've been working on this game, ooh, it's May now, so let me pull up a calendar because I know they've been working on it since late January.
That's crazy. Dang. It's gonna turn out. I feel like it's gonna turn out really good. I'm actually really excited for it. Um,
Hopefully.
yeah. Some of my videos like talk about the current state of Retro Studios games, like usually like ARG games. Simon Says a free admin and stuff, and usually those games, a lot of people do not usually like those games. I try to cover up why I do like social experiments and all that. Um, but I want your opinion on how you feel about the games that are on the homepage today.
Well, ultimately, I've never been one to want to interfere with what the people want to play. You know,
Yeah,
if they don't like the games, they don't have to play them. You can downvote them and they'll get appeared lower on the homepage. But at the end of the day, these are the games that the most people on Retro Studio want to play.
yeah. I just like noticed like a whole bunch of trends of like a lot of people will start to like these games, but the more that comes up on their front page, like the more hate and the more traction, the more like fierce like the community gets about the type of games that are on the front page and stuff. And it's like just a whole bunch of like revolting around like what type of games are like hit and do, what type of games will get players, what type of games will get the most retro bugs and all that. And yeah, um,
You know, I feel like that's probably a fair point. These games do tend to come in waves where somebody's a bit of a trendsetter and there's a bunch of followers.
yeah.
I feel like that can be a little overwhelming for people to come on and see basically three or four of the same game.
There's a whole bunch of Retro Studio YouTubers. They've existed for like the longest time. I could probably shout some out like Retro Swords, Wordy, and Myth Stars, Vibin. I know Vibin was one for a long time. Who else? Alive Fry, Looking, the Ready Retro, Felipe Flip, and everybody. All the people that make content for Retro Studio. And there's definitely been some ones I've influenced because I've been making content for a while, about 3 years or so. And there's some ones I've influenced. There's someone that started a channel because of me and like have similar profile pictures or even make content of me. And it makes me feel amazing. Like I really started like a whole community to just start making content. And it's really inspiring for me to keep on making content. But, you know, like it doesn't always have like good quality or stuff. It's usually just like I don't know. But I want to ask if you have any inspiring words for future Retro Studio YouTubers that want to make content for the game and that want to do unique and interesting stuff for the community to watch.
I think there's a lot of room for innovative content on Retro Studio. It's a place where you can make your own games. There's a lot of opportunity with that. There's plenty of opportunity, and we at Retro Dev are always willing to help. Because at the end of the day, it's a win-win situation for us. We get to help somebody out grow their channel, and they get to potentially bring new audience to Retro Studio.
Yeah, definitely. I want to connect that like bringing like new audience. When I made my ARG video, that got like a crazy amount of views in such a short time, to the point where I was like reaching like different people in the ARG community, like some really big names. I think I don't know. Seer Directory was one of the bigger ARGs, like one of like top 10 biggest ARGs in Roblox of all time. They watched my video there, I think, in my Discord server. So it's actually pretty cool to like see like the different communities that can come from watching old Roblox content that comes from Retro Studio stuff. That's how you can see people making ARGs from Retro Studios system, old Roblox system, is because like you know, people like want to like just do a lot of different stuff, and that's where you can go on a Retro Studio to like make all the stuff that you want to do. That definitely brings in a whole lot of like new people. Um, yeah, it's like really inspiring to like bring the whole community, like merge communities together. I want to ask, what was the craziest thing to happen when developing Retro Studio?
I don't really know if there's anything crazy that happened while developing Retro Studio. I mean, I guess you could say we've had quite the fair share of crowd in Retro Dev, to put it kindly. We've had quite a few admins, particularly, that we've had to remove from the community for various reasons, which I don't think is quite appropriate to get into today, but those who know.
Yeah. Definitely. I've seen like a lot of different admins come and go, unfortunately. Yeah, it's pretty sad to see some go, but it's pretty nice to see like you know there's like this one admin which I won't name. Um, it's nice that they're not admin anymore. That's all I'm gonna say. Um, when developing Retro Studio, what's the hardest glitch that you or the team had to fix? What's the hardest thing to fix?
I don't think there's really one glitch we can single out personally for me, but the hardest glitches are always the ones that take a whole day to fix and have just the stupidest issue. Something like a type check, missed period or something.
Yeah. Um, from Retro Blocks to Retro Studio, you said like during when the game was in like public testing in the retro dev community before Retro Studio got big, there's only like a few tenths of players. Is that correct?
Yes.
And back in 2020, when this was happening, what state did you think Retro Studio was going to be at in 5 years? And do you think that Retro Studio as a community accomplished that goal?
Ultimately, we didn't have any goals. We were basically making this game for fun as a successor to Retro Blocks, in where people could just make their own games. And we were hoping for a bigger audience, sure, but I don't think any of us expected to be peaking at 1,500, 2,000 people.
Yeah. Um,
So to kind of have that end goal, not that we had goals, but I'd say if we did, they were definitely exceeded.
yeah. Um, I've watched some of my old content. I noticed a lot of people that watching this right now may know what I'm about to talk about. There was a feature that was removed from Retro Studio that I do remember. Um, it was the homepage where you could like see what your recently played games were, the friends tab, and some like notifications and news and stuff. Why was the homepage removed on Retro Studio?
You know, ultimately the homepage just kind of didn't fit with Retro Studio. We had the Friends tab, sure, but that was one limitation of Roblox where we weren't able to render people's Retro Studio avatars. So, you know,
Yeah,
you're stuck with the actual Roblox avatars. That doesn't match. News was rarely updated. We only really publish updates through the updates channel in the Discord server.
yeah,
And recently played, you know, you can already access that through your games tab. Usually recently played games, they're either dead or they're on the homepage. So,
yeah. Um, was like was like the similar issue of like not being able to render your Retro Studio avatar and stuff. Like, was that the same for promo code called Site Beta? Because if you were to type the code in Site Beta, it'll take you to like a website version of Retro Studio, kind of like going to 2014, a lot like going to 2014, but like a site version with like all the games and stuff. Except it's just like looks like the Roblox website. What happened to that?
you know what? There just wasn't the I don't know how to say really manpower or time to work on a completely new UI for the entirety of Retro Studio when we were actively pushing new features. If you look at the Retro Studio lobby, there's hundreds of different little tabs that you can go down, and absolutely everything would have to be completely recoded to fit a new UI. So that's ultimately why Site Beta never came to fruition.
Yeah. Um, there was a huge event team and tester team. Shout out to all those people that are watching. Shout outs to like everybody in the event team, and Loda, from Lodakun to Voxel Capoto to everybody that just puts their hardest effort to test and make these events, script and build these events. I couldn't do anything like that. Shoot, they do amazing work. Shout out to everybody that does that. How do you feel about the event and tester team? And are you excited for the future events on Retro Studio? Like other than the egg hunt, like the next incoming stuff that you have for Retro Studio or the event team has for Retro Studio. Are you excited for the future events and all this stuff?
You know, I think the event team does amazing work, and I feel like they're putting out amazing games, but people don't give them enough credit. You
Yeah,
know, you're always gonna see these games come out. They'll have a couple of bugs. People just might not like them. They may not like the hats. They may not like how you get them, and ultimately they just blame the event team. You know, they say the event team did a terrible job when they've been working hard for 4 months to get this out.
yeah,
Um, and additionally, we're also looking to publish the event hats on Roblox themselves, and we're gonna give all of the funding from those hats directly back to the event team because we feel like they deserve a lot more as a reward, essentially.
they really do. The event team, they put in so much work, not only in events but also their own games. I want to give a shout out to Ultra Jesus 10. I've like seen some of their games and they are extremely well made and they are incredibly underrated. And I just find that so unfair because there's not only just Ultra Jesus, but so much other people just not only like recreate Roblox games like How to Seek Extreme from Tomini, but just like so much like people, like the whole event team and a lot of the testers as well just make incredibly great stuff. They try their hardest to really make these great events on Retro Studio for people to create content on and win free hats and all of that. Yeah. Um, this question comes from Eyeball Lover, which was a admin but now retired. Do you consider yourself a pro?
You know, what does that mean?
Like, shoot, I have no. I mean, do
I
like a
consider
pro
myself hacker level.
hacker level. All right, nice. I'm hacker level as well. We all hackers. We're getting to the end of this interview, and I want to ask, what is one thing that you want to tell the fans that are watching this interview right now?
Basically the same thing that we've said every major milestone. We love the fans. We thank the community for everything they've given us, for allowing us to grow this game, build this game, and want to continue rewarding them. We want to see them keep coming back because, I think we've got a great community. Actually, when Retro Studio first started out, the community was very toxic.
Yeah.
So I guess thank you to everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for playing.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing. Can I have infinite retro bucks?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Can I have infinite retro bucks?
I think you're cutting out, Cloud.
Can I have infinite retro bucks?
I think we have to call another time. You're cutting out.
What? Oh, all right. Cool. All right. See you, Cristiano.
Goodbye.
I'm gonna try to make this short, but by me making a joke about infinite retro bucks, I originally thought he wouldn't give me actually infinite retro bucks. But if I want to go to Retro Studio, look, I can literally buy anything on Retro Studio. Huger, and humongous shoutouts to Cristiano100 for being able to come to today's interview and for granting me retro bucks for life. Now I don't have to think twice whenever buying anything, as I already bought Retro Studio's most expensive hats. Next, we'll be interviewing A-Ray. Keep in mind that he has his voice revealed and he wants to keep his voice private. But if needed, here is proof that all the answers are from him and that he was in the game as background footage. Anyways, we'll be interviewing Roblox and Tyler, also known as A-Ray, the owner of Retro Studio. Roblox and Tyler.
Hey there.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good, if not uneventful.
What was the last thing that bothered you?
Eyelash in IUFO.
Well, that sucks. I'm glad you're doing better, though. I wanted to ask, what is the origin behind your nickname, A-Ray?
I put Ray in a big Latin translator, and I thought it sounded cool.
There's a song that a whole majority of the Retro Studio loves that a lot of people really like, and you are the main topic of the song. How do you feel about the A-Ray song?
I love A-Ray music, #1 music.
Being the owner of Retro Studio, I wondered how you felt about off-site revivals in the off-site old Roblox community in general, because it is a huge community, and many people in the off-site community do not like Retro Studio. So, how do you feel?
I don't typically interact with them much, seems cool, but the risk of getting ratted turns me away.
What was your first game you made, and how did it inspire you to create bigger projects like RetroDev?
I had a lot of smaller projects both on both Roblox and HyperPad. These would typically be abandoned before having something playable, but they served as learning experiences either way.
How did life feel back when Retro Studio was in first public testing in 2020?
I had worried about whether it would be successful before opening it up for testing, since I was unsure if people would invest the time to make games others would want to play during the testing phase. There was a lot of enthusiasm and creativity though, and I think that inspired me to push forward.
Here's a question from Steel Atomic, and how did you meet the Retro Dev team? For example, Harkinian, XLXI, and etc.
Chris and Guest contacted me, both with examples of work that would prove themselves useful to our projects. Harkinian and XLXI I met through Chris.
What were some of the hardest bugs or glitches you encountered when developing on Retro Studio?
I couldn't figure out how to tile the stud R logo textures so they would match up with the actual studs on the top faces of wedges. I'm not much of a math person, which made it even more difficult. It took years to figure out, and apparently I needed a very strange structured equation that relied on what seems to be a total arbitrary constant, instance size.y/instance size.y plus instance size, axis, asterisk 0.98995/texture.studs per tile v.
Here's a question from Guest, and what are your top 3 favorite time periods that are on Retro Studio?
3. Early 2013. 2. Late 2014. 1. Mid 2012.
Here's a question from Robin Recht. Do you think Retro Studio will get more popular over time?
Retro Studio has grown in popularity pretty consistent over the past few years. We'll have to wait and see though.
Here's a question from Mipstars. What is your opinion on the recent Roblox updates?
They are very demotivating, creating the feeling that Roblox could take away everything at any time. I really hope that we've seen the last of them.
There's a lot of Retro Studio YouTubers that make very great content, whether it's on events or just in general. And you, being the owner of Retro Studio, are the reason they have to make content in the first place. So, what is your grand opinion on the Retro Studio YouTubers?
It's neat to see people care enough about a game I worked on to talk about it.
You know, as the owner of Retro Studio, do you like old or new Roblox more, and why?
I think it's difficult to compare. Modern Roblox feels very much like an entirely different game to me. There are definite things I prefer from old Roblox, and vice versa. Overall, I think I'd say new Roblox, for the better engine and games, but old Roblox still real feels like something special.
There's a huge future for Retro Studio, as there are a lot of things that are coming, such as the Retro Festival, the egg hunts, and so much more. Are you excited for the future work that the event and tester team have for Retro Studio?
I am.
Here's a question from Capoto. She asked if you plan on reviving Retroblox, or is it completely dead?
It'll still receive fixes if it breaks, but it's dead.
During Retro Studio's history, I know that there's been a lot of great achievements that the team has made, and I want to ask, what is the biggest achievement you think you and the team made for Retro Studio and Retroblox?
Voxel Terrain took more work than any previous Retro Studio update I worked on. Shame that it ended up being heavily limited by the engine and that nobody uses it.
With mod applications almost coming to a close and many moderators already online with the platform with great head moderators, there is a huge moderation team on Retro Studio. And I want to ask you this, the owner, how do you feel moderation does on the admin team on Retro Studio?
I think they are doing a great job.
Here's the question I really wanted to ask personally. What is your favorite Roblox and Retro Studio game of all time?
Favorite Roblox game is Survival 303. Retro Studio is a difficult choice. Maybe Rivalry 2.
Here's a question from Capoto. She asked how you feel about the game community as a whole and the people making the games or the people inside of it.
I like the community, and seeing people make games with Retro Studio makes me happy.
Capoto asked another question, and she asked if you like the current state of the RetroDev Discord server, and what do you feel it could be different about it, if there's anything to be different about.
I feel good about the current state of the Discord server. I'm open to suggestions from anybody who thinks it could be improved, though, especially since I haven't been as active there for a bit.
Yes, I know, but here is another question from Capoto. She asked how you feel about other Roblox simulators like REUPLOAD and Golden 2014.
I haven't played enough of them to form a proper opinion, but it's cool that they exist.
A-Ray, what happened in 1994?
Interview over, no more questions.
Oh gosh, why would I ask him that? He's gonna ban me off of Retro Studio. Anyways, we just interviewed the owners of Retro Studio because not only have I learned about new stuff, but I also hope that you had as well. This is one of my longer videos, so thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Please subscribe. We're close to 8,000 subscribers. Love you guys and peace.